Hello and welcome to my booktube channel. My name is Rebecca and I am here to share all of the books that I have read in 2023. A couple of them I'm still working through. It's only just like the Friday before New Year's Eve, so New Year's practically over in just a couple days, and I'll probably have them done by then, most likely. At least one of them for sure will be done. The other one is a bit thicker, but I imagine I'll probably still have it done. Anyway, this is my second video on the channel, and if you would like to check out my introduction video with some questions from a newbie booktube tag, you can check out the other video. It'll be linked below if you'd like to check it out. Without further ado, here's all of the books that I've read this year. I'll give what I rated them and maybe a brief synopsis on them. Some of them, actually a lot of them I do not have in front of me because I read them on Kindle, but I got a nice big stack of physical books right here. So let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and go over some of the Christmas books that I read just, within the last month, just to go ahead and get them out of the way. There's only like, one, two, three Christmas books. So we'll just go over those, get them out of the way real quick, and then we'll go over everything I read. Yeah. I read A Cup of Holiday Fear. It is a bake shop mystery novel by Ellie Alexander. It was my first book I've ever read by her. But it was actually I think the 10th book in an entire series. But fortunately, I was able to read it without really needing a whole lot of context from everything else. But it was clear when I started reading it, I was like, oh, there's more. There's more going on to this backstory. But it's okay. I actually really enjoyed it. I don't read mysteries very often, but I would like to get into more mysteries. And it was a very nice, very cozy holiday mystery read. Now, not all of her books are Christmassy. But they all take place in this town that is historic and charming, and it's kind of like, how can I describe? A little Hallmarky, maybe a little Gilmore Girls mystery book, if that makes any sense. It was fun. I think I gave it a solid 4 stars. It was a really nice cozy read. I think I almost gave it a 3-star, but I realized it was because I had already read like 2 rom-coms before it, and that's not usually what I read. So I think I was kind of done, and I was ready to get back into my fantasy world, but that's okay. The more I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, that's a good solid 4-star. And I told my mom about it, and she was like, I think I'm gonna check this series out. She loves cozy mysteries. So next up was Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. I gave that one a good 3 stars. I think a lot of people loved it even more, and they've given it 4 and 5 stars. This is not my typical genre, just to make that clear. I actually really did enjoy it, and it made me laugh and smile a lot. It follows this girl and this guy who are trying to travel back home to Ireland to visit their families. They're flying from Chicago to Ireland, but then a snowstorm just completely stalls and cancels everything. And now everyone's trying to scramble to get back home for Christmas. It does have I try to avoid spice, but I guess I downloaded it without doing my research, and I wasn't surprised to find it there, but I was just kind of oh, I didn't double check. But there are some open door scenes near about maybe the 70 to 80% mark, or maybe it's 60%, I don't remember. A little bit later in the book, just a couple of bedroom scenes. They're not intense, they're not crazy. I was able to kind of simply gloss over very quickly. That's not my thing, but if that's your thing, kudos to you, but it's not mine. But it did make me laugh. I really did enjoy the book. It's not my thing. I was just trying to get some holiday books in because it was Christmas. I think most people, if you're into romance, you're probably gonna give it a higher star than me. The next book I read was another Christmas romance book. It was called All I Want for Christmas Is the Girl Next Door. Now this is I think book 1 in a 4-part They're not connected, I don't think, but there's 4 All I Want for Christmas books. They're by the author Chelsea Bobalski. And I like them. It's about, I think all of the books are going to follow high schoolers. The one I read definitely was. Is this boy has been pining for the girl next door almost all of his life that she has been living next door to him. He's always wanted to be her boyfriend, but somehow his best friend ends up with the girl, and one night he wishes that she would be his girlfriend, and he gets his wish, but then he ends up learning a lot of lessons. I actually thought it was really good. I gave that one a solid 4 stars. I thought it was great. It's a nice, clean read about, a couple of 16 or 17-year-olds. All right, so that's it for the Christmas books. So now I'm actually going to go all the way back to the beginning of the year of 2023 and work my way forward. Cool? Cool. I read my first Brandon Sanderson books earlier this year. I actually technically started at the end of 2022 and then finished the trilogy. Like, I think I've read the first book in 2022 and then the next 2 I finished in 2023. Follows this girl who's like she's an orphaned street urchin, and one day she discovers that she has these allomantic powers, and she can control metals, and when you swallow the metals and you burn them, like you use them, they give you different abilities. So like different metals give you different abilities. Like you can either influence the room and the way people's emotions play out. You can control, the metals can help you control different metals as a magnet, and you can pull them or push them away from you, but you can also do it where you can like fly. So like basically you're kind of like Magneto from X-Men, and then there's like other ones too. So it's really, really fun. And she gets recruited into like this thieving gang of some sort, but the thieving gang is also being recruited for overthrowing the evil emperor. The 3rd book had such a ending that I did not see coming. Like, part of it I saw coming because it's like we've been told it over and over again, but then like there's like a twist, and I'm like, I did not see that coming. It was just so good. So the Mistborn Trilogy, the first one's called The Final Empire, and then the second one is The Well of Ascension, and the third one is The Hero of Ages. I think I ended up just giving them all like a solid 4-star across the board. The 3rd book I probably should go back and like make it a 5-star. Like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, man, I really liked that book. And then I read the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, 5, 6, 7 books in all. And then there's a prequel called, what's it called? Assassin something. I'll put a little blip right here what it is. I've not read that one yet. I actually don't really care to read it because it doesn't really, I already know enough. I don't feel like I need to go back. So there's Throne of Glass is book 1, and then there's Throne of Glass, book 1, I gave a 3 stars. It's a bit immature in writing, but I can tell with each book, Sarah got better at writing. She got better. I'd say the main character is, maybe I can do a full like review in a separate video because I have a lot of thoughts about this series. But anyway, so book 1, I gave a 3-star. Crown of Midnight, which is book 2, I gave a 4-star. Heir of Fire, 5-star. I loved Heir of Fire. Queen of Shadows, 4 stars. Empire of Storms, 3 stars. 3 stars is not bad, by the way, for me. I mean, like it's a good solid read. But it just means it's not maybe like my favorite. Tower of Dawn, 3 stars. Kingdom of Ash, 5 stars. I thought it ended very well. I thought it ended very sad. It was very satisfying. I always get nervous when things build, especially over a series, right? They build and they build and they build to epic proportions, and you're like, oh my gosh, everything else has been amazing and great and scary and insane, and like my emotions have been all over the place. How is this plane gonna land? And you get really worried about the plane landing because sometimes they just kind of like, don't quite doesn't land very well sometimes. Sometimes it just lands okay, and sometimes it lands a little too easy, is what I find a lot of times. I find endings being a little too rushed or too easy. This one felt so satisfying. It felt like it ended exactly the way it needed to me. The Throne of Glass series is about a teenage assassin, and it just kind of follows her. I don't want to go too much into detail. It follows an assassin, but she is more than what we think. I'll leave it there. Okay, because I got a lot of books to go through. I read like 40 plus books this year. The Elf Tangent and the Princess Paradigm by Lindsay Broker. Now, Lindsay Broker wrote the Emperor's Edge series, which I freaking loved. I read that in 2022. I loved it. There's found family, there's adventure and magic, and there's just a lot. There's a lot, and I love the characters. I love the characters so much, and I love their banter, and I love the adventures that they go on. I mean, I have a few things. Some books aren't perfect. I have a few things that I could really nitpick about them, but they're really, really good. But anyways, so she wrote, let's get back to what's on my list, right? Lindsay Broker. I decided to check out some of her other books. Now, she's written a lot of books, and I plan to read a whole lot more, but these particular two that I went and read, I did not like. The Elf Tangent, I gave her 3 stars. It was okay. It was just a story. It's this human princess who is kind of bookish and nerdy and sciencey. And for some reason, she ends up being kidnapped by these elves, and they take her back to their forest, and they have a whole problem that they need her to solve because she is a scientist. And for some reason, the elf scientist couldn't figure it out. It was just okay. It was cute. It was all right. I really, really have some complaints. I could get into it though, but we're not going to do that in this video. Maybe another time. The Princess Paradigm, 1 star. Oh my goodness. I loathed Princess Paradigm. I am sorry to say. It just wasn't good. The editing wasn't great. The story wasn't great. The character was all over the place and reckless in not even in a fun way. Not reckless in a fun way. Reckless in just like she's an absolute idiot. It wasn't good. It's also, just so you're warned, it does have some explicit bedroom scenes later, which I was not expecting because it wasn't in any of the other books, but that's okay. Gosh, there's a lot I could rant about that book too, but we will, maybe another time. If you want me to rant, tell me, and I'll make a video ranting, but let's move on. And I read Lindsay Broker's book Republic, and it is an additional story to The Emperor's Edge. It's kind of like an after story. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun hooking up with the characters again, and it wasn't the best of that series in my opinion, but I still really enjoyed it. It was really nice hooking up with all of the characters again and just kind of seeing what they're doing and going on another adventure with them. So that was fun. My right foot just fell asleep. It feels so numb right now. Oh my gosh. Anyway, all right, so then I read The Call of the Wild and Free, Reclaiming Wonder in Your Child's Education. This one is by Ainsley Arment, and she is the founder of Wild and Free, which is like a homeschool support thing and curriculum provider for homeschooling families. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 5-star. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but at the same time, it was exactly what I was expecting. So, it's more like an introduction to homeschool, and you can do it. So if you're looking for a book, if you're a parent and that's something you're trying to look into, maybe read this one, The Call of the Wild and Free, or Plus Free. Next one, I read Dark Shores by Danielle L. Jensen. That one it's kind of like it was described, and definitely those vibes. Rome meets Pirates of the Caribbean. Sounds great, right? I gave that one a 3-star. It was just okay to me. I didn't really like the main character that much. There was also a lot of, again, I don't want to like get into it too much, but a little bit of like the author trying to do like a little bit of forced proximity between this pirate girl and this like Roman soldier type guy, where it's just like, oh, well, you're gonna have to sleep in my rooms just so that I can guard you better, because apparently my guards, who I completely trust, are just not trustworthy enough, even though they are, which is kind of weird. It was okay. It was okay read. Anyway, moving on. Next, I read my first and last Colleen Hoover book. I just kind of wanted to see what all the fuss was about. You've probably seen that all over Book Talk and all over Instagram and all over, if you walk in the bookstore, it's right there. But she writes romance novels. The book I picked was available on Kindle Unlimited. This one was called Maybe Someday. I did not like it. I gave it a 1-star. I just didn't care for the storyline, the characters. I didn't feel like I could root for. Yeah, I couldn't root for anybody. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. 1-star for me. Moving on. Divine Rivals. How many of you have read Divine Rivals or have at least seen it floating all over the internet? Oh my gosh, I gave that one. It probably should have gotten a 4-star from me, but I couldn't help it. I gave it 5 stars because I loved it so much. So there's a bit of nitpicking I can do, but not that much, just a bit. I really enjoyed it. Oh my gosh. So Divine Rivals follows this, it's a young adult, low fantasy world, and what's cool is the world kind of resembles like World War I a bit, like London, World War I, World War II maybe, where there's like this war going on, but it's between gods. But that kind of it sits on the back burner a bit. The majority of the story follows this girl who is supporting herself and her mother, working at like a newspaper. Oh my gosh, what is that word? Like a newspaper thing. I can't think of the word. Anyway, her brother has gone to war. She's supporting herself and her mother, working at this place, and she's trying to become lead columnist. But she has a rival there, and he is also trying to become the lead columnist. They're both kind of like working their way to that, and they're gonna see who's gonna become it. But things happen. It's a light romance. She writes letters and she puts them in the closet, and then they disappear. So she assumes all of her letters to her brother are getting to him, and then one day she gets a letter saying, "I am not your brother." I hope, I'm gonna have to edit that a little bit, but I hope that my description just like made sense and is intriguing to you. It was a really good time. Ruthless Vows, it's a duology set. So Divine Rivals, read that, and then Ruthless Vows, I've not read it yet, but it just came out, like I think 2 days ago or something. It finally came out. So I will be getting that. Divine Rivals, at least it was, as far as I know, it still is available on Kindle Unlimited if you have that. But I do plan on getting a physical copy of it and Ruthless Vows very soon. I'm looking forward to that. This one is actually a series. It's called Kingdoms of the Fairy Path, and it's like a bunch of fairy tale retellings. This one was written by Alice Ivania, I think is how you say it. The first book is this girl gets taken to the land of fairy, and she's kind of held there by the fairies there for some political reasons, and it has a little bit of a Cinderella-esque feel to it. I have definitely some things to nitpick about it, but it was a good 4 stars. I did enjoy it. I have not read the rest of that series yet. However, I did read the prequel to it called The Widow and the Beast. And that was like a prequel, I guess it's like a novella because it was very short. And that one was all right. I gave that one a 3 stars. But I enjoyed it. I may come back around eventually and finish reading the Kingdoms of the Fairy Path series. I think there's like 3 books. Victoria Lynn is an indie author, and she wrote Once I Knew, The Chronicles of Elira, The Chronicles of Elira. Maybe that's how you say it, but anyway, book 1 is called Once I Knew. I liked the premise, but I gave it a 2-star. I liked the premise. I liked the idea. It could have been a little bit better to me. Also, there was a lot of crying. I think in the first 10 pages, the main character cried like so many times. I did see a lot of people in the reviews did seem to really like it, so good for them, but it was just not for me. And then I read another book by Alice Ivania. This one's called The Kingdom of Birds and Beasts. Now this, I really liked the world, okay? I liked this world. So there's, this is like a Goose Girl retelling, I think. Although I'm not that familiar with the Goose Girl. I actually have no idea what the Goose Girl is. I just know that it's a fairy tale. There's 3 books in this trilogy. And the first one is called Feathers of Snow. And it's about this girl who is the lady in waiting for a princess. The princess is terrible. And one day when the princess and the queen finds out that the princess is supposed to be marrying this prince in this faraway land that they think is horrible and scary, and they think he's terrible, the queen and the princess decide to send the lady in waiting servant, I forget her name, I don't remember her name. She and the princess look just enough alike that they decide to send her to marry the prince as the princess instead. And now, and she's threatened, like, you will go or else, and some other threats, and you will pretend to be the princess, and you know, and that's that. And so she has to navigate all of this. And then what's really cool about the world is there's all these like animals that can speak, and the humans are basically kind of like trying to keep peace, but they're also kind of at war with these animals. It's very interesting. I don't know. It's like, you got to read it. It was really, really fun. I gave that first book a 4 stars. The second book is called Feathers of Blood. I gave that 3 stars. The Kingdom of Feathers, the third book, I gave it a 2-star. It was, it just, unfortunately, like, maybe I won't even say, because I don't want to like deter people from checking the book out and reading it for themselves, because what if they really, really like it and I'm just the odd one out? But by the time I got to the 3rd book, I just didn't really care about the characters anymore. I didn't care about anything, and I had to really, I DNF'd it for a while, and then I finally just went back and finished it because it was bothering me that I hadn't finished it. So, and it ended okay. It really did. But I didn't love it. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. And then I read by Chelsea Bobalski, the same author that wrote that Christmas book, All I Want for Christmas. She wrote a story called The Wood. And this one is really, really fun. And I really enjoyed this. I gave this one 4 stars. This one follows this girl and her father are guardians of their part of what's called the wood. So the woods behind their house where they live, there's multiple portals in the woods. And when you walk through certain portals, you time travel to different times in history. And so she and her family line have always been and always will be in charge of guarding these portals. And anytime someone wanders through the portals, they are in charge of going and finding them and finding their correct portal to send them back through and get them back in their timeline, because you can't have space-time continuum implosions or anything. But things kind of go awry one day when this one traveler is quite determined to come through the portals and into the wood, and he's got his own agenda about it, and I'll just leave it at that. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was well written. It is young adult. It was fun. I absolutely loved it. Solid read. Next, I read A Crown of Chains by Erin Phillips. She is another indie author. I freaking loved this book. I was pleasantly surprised. Especially since I had already read a couple of other indie authors that were just kind of like, to me. Solid. I liked it a lot. So this one is actually a Esther retelling, fairy tale style. Really cool. So you've got legit like fairies and fauns and let's see, fairies, fauns, and humans. I think those, and mermaids, and so you've got all that. And I was kind of like curious how that would go for an Esther retelling. It was great. It was great. I think there's like a couple times where I was kind of like, eh, but that was me being nitpicky. That's me being a nitpicker, and I won't go into any of that. But I gave it 5 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 stars. I loved it. Erin, you did great. And she has another book that just came out in October, November, which is a Ruth Bible story retelling. I already bought it. It's on my shelf. I plan on reading it very soon. I went back to a cozy classic. This one, I accidentally came across it on YouTube. Someone did an audiobook of it on YouTube, and I can link it below if you'd like. I don't remember the name of this guy's channel. I thought he did a decent job. It is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. 5 stars. It's always been one of my favorites. I love The Secret Garden. Ooh, by the way, I know I said I read it, listened to it on audio on YouTube, but I do actually own a copy from it that I got at Barnes & Noble, I think from Barnes & Noble, years ago. It's got the fun little gold. Yeah, I love The Secret Garden. And it follows this girl who ends up being orphaned and moves from India. She's not Indian. She was, her parents were like, her father was like a soldier or something. A sickness takes out, it's like a plague, and it takes out like a lot of people, and including her parents. And so she ends up moving in with her only living relative, which is like an uncle, and he is rich. And he's got this giant manor. He's got a secret garden, maybe. Anyway, it just follows her and some other characters that she meets along the way, and it's just a cozy read. It's a really, really cozy read, and I love it. Yes, 5 stars for me. Next, I'm still working through it. I've been kind of working on through the past like couple of months. The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Aragon. Here, I've got these right here. Hang on. Please hold. Please hold. Please hold. Please hold. I am going to have to do some serious editing. Aragon, Eldest, which is book 2. I am currently in the middle of reading the 3rd one, Brisinger. Oh, look at that. That's sad. And then I've got the 4th book, Inheritance, on my shelf also for me to read after this. And then we get to read Murtagh, which just came out. Like, these have been out for like, what, 15 years or something? I don't know, something like that. So it's nice that we get to go back to Alagasia? What is the name of this country? Alagasia. So Aragon, I really enjoyed it. I gave Aragon a 4-star. Eldest, I gave a 4-star. They're not perfect. I mean, they're a bit... Okay, listen, Paolini didn't have a original bone in his body when it comes to these books. Aragon, sound familiar? Other names, character names, other things. Like, a lot of them are very Tolkien-esque. And other fantasy books and movies, but you know, that's okay. It's okay. We can look past it and just enjoy the good time that we have. Follows a boy who ends up becoming a dragon rider. The dragons have been basically extinct, but then one day destiny brings a dragon to this poor little farm boy, and the adventure just takes off. It's really fun. I've read this series multiple times. It's kind of like become like a go-to comfort read when I don't know what else to read. I'm mostly just rereading them so that I can be ready for the next book that just came out, Murtagh. So there's that. Oh my gosh, I've got a mess of books around me now. Next, I read Thinking Out Loud, which was written by an indie author that I came across on Instagram. Grayson Long is the author. Honestly, I think it needed 1 star, but I gave it a 2-star. It needed a lot more editing. I think I ended up giving it 2 stars instead of 1 star because it did make me smile quite a few times, but the book is a bit of a mess. I saw in the reviews there were a bunch of people that absolutely adored it and gave it 3, 4, and 5 stars. And go for it. But yeah, let's see, what was the plot? I don't remember. It kind of goes over dealing with some mental health issues, which some people I know are going to really, really like that because it's kind of like a really popular topic right now. A lot of people dealing with that and just having that representation there, I guess. But I think one of my biggest issues is like that was supposed to be kind of a big thing in the book, but it didn't really. Maybe I just wanted something deeper. Now this is like a little, I don't know if this was a rom-com. It was like a little romance, lighthearted. Maybe it was supposed to be a rom-com. Maybe I didn't laugh enough. Oh my gosh, is it supposed to be a rom-com and I didn't laugh? That's terrible. This is just not my type of book. I don't read romance. I don't read rom-coms. I don't read that. Like I read them every now and then for like a palate cleanser. That's just not my thing. I think I'm gonna go to the Bake Shop mysteries for my palate cleansers from now on. Some people might really like it. If you want to check it out, go ahead. It's called Thinking Out Loud, and it follows like this girl ends up leaving her job as like a psychiatrist and gets a job as a school counselor, I think, at a high school in her hometown, and ends up she and the vice president end up like, you know, having goo eyes for each other, and the rest is history, I guess. Yeah, so if that sounds like something for you, then cool. It's not for me. Me and my daughter have started reading the Little House on the Prairie books. So we read Little House on the Big Wood, which is the first one, and then Little House on the Prairie, which I thought that was the second book, but apparently it's actually book number 3. I didn't realize that. It doesn't really matter. I read those. We really loved them. I gave those 5 stars. Like, it's I've seen where some people on reviews were like, oh, it's just this like weird how to survive in the woods type of book. But it's, yeah, not really. It's, yes, you sit there and you follow a lot of like, oh yeah, and then we, you know, Pa skinned the pig and, you know, stuff like that. And, oh, we harvested this, and then this is how we did it. And there's a lot of descriptions like that, but the books are more than just that. It's kind of like just this is Laura Ingalls Wilder as a child with her siblings, and this is what life looked like for them, which I think is really cool. Like, I think that's cool. I think it's precious. There's not like a whole lot of a plot, you know? I think people pick it up thinking it's going to be just like the TV show. It's not like the TV show. It's really not. And I enjoy the TV show. But people think there's going to be like a plot. There's going to be a Nellie Olson or a Mrs. Olson. And maybe they do show up in the books later, and they cause some drama. There are some chapters in these books, though, that are almost identical to a couple of episodes of Little House on the Prairie, especially in like season 1. I was like, oh man, yeah, there's oh shoot, what's his name? There's oh no, what's his name? There's some issues that they run into with like some Indians that happened just like in, I think, episode 1 or 2 on Little House on the Prairie. Oh, what is their friend? Oh, what's his name? Mr. Edwards, that's his name, Mr. Edwards. So he's in there, and that was really fun. And he's just like, I mean, they got him totally right in the show. He's just like that. So anyway, I forgot to hold up the physical copies. What else did we read? Ooh, Romanov by Nadine Brandes. Oh my gosh, this was so good. This one follows Anastasia Romanov, and what was really cool is like half of the book is like perfectly factual of like what really happened, circumstances, what really happened in history, and then she takes a whole spin on fantasy for like the other half of the book of like, what if Anastasia did survive? How would she have survived? What would that have looked like? What if there were magical, what if magic existed? It was a great read. I thought it was so fun. Oh my gosh, I gave that 5 stars. It was so good. She has another book called, what's it called? Fawkes, Fawkes, that I plan on checking out soon. Anyway, Romanov, check it out, so good. And then next I read the Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black. I think I gave each book in the trilogy of 3 stars. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them enough to keep reading. I was curious. A few plot holes. There's a few issues that I have. I have no idea why everyone is so, oh, Carden this and oh, Carden that. If you spend any time online in the book world, you know, everyone is all about Carden, the Fae Prince. He's cruel, he's awful, he's terrible, but he doesn't even have like that. I'm trying to understand legitimately why everybody likes him. I can't stand him. We don't even spend enough time with his character for us to get to really know him at all, to build any kind of sympathy, to build or empathy or anything. There's no like there's a little bit of, oh, okay, we understand like why you grew up this way and so you poor thing, but like no, but his character as he is in the books, in the present, what do you people, please, I really, really want to know. If you have read these books, can you tell me? And if you liked Carden, why do you like Carden? Please tell me what it is. I'm trying to figure out, like I said, the bad boy thing, you know. But I don't even get that. And then I've been told he has a sense of humor. I've been told that he's clever. But where is it? I don't see it. I didn't witness this. I've just been told it. So 3 stars. It was just enough for me to read. It was just enough for me to finish. And although, can we talk about this cover? Can we talk about this? The cover is quite lovely, and I loved the way each element on here tied in with the book. It tied in so well. I was like, okay. But anyway, there's a few plot holes, issues that I have, and then of course I do. And Jude, I like Jude. I don't know if I could really fully root for her. I don't know if there's nobody really to root for, actually, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. And in which case, I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments, you're wrong. Okay, I'm wrong. But for me, I didn't see it. I didn't see what was the big deal with Jude and Carden. Oh my gosh, here I go ranting about the books again. And this video is just to be about, here's what I read and how I ranked them, and here's a synopsis. Maybe I should do a separate video where I actually like go into it. Should I make a rant video? We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, moving on, because we've got a lot of books to cover. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then next I read A Little Princess. This one is also by Frances Hodgson Burnett, who wrote The Secret Garden. This one I also gave it 5 stars. However, I don't actually think it's as good as The Secret Garden, even though I really enjoyed it and it's really well written. I really liked it. I just wouldn't say I like The Secret Garden much better. But yeah, that one was really good. A Little Princess, again, same thing where it's like that. I don't know if it's really actually Victorian era. What do you call it? What was that era called? Like in the 1800s or whatever. Another little girl whose father's also in the military, based in India. She grew up in India, and then one day he takes her to her boarding school in London, which is where she's going to spend the next several years of her life. She's got quite the imagination. She's got such an imagination. She's such a good storyteller that she just captivates anyone who is in the room with her and that will listen to her stories. But the lady who runs the school cannot stand her, even though she loves that her father is very rich, which is very good for her and her school, that he is rich. One day, things go topsy-turvy, and next thing we know, little Sarah is now being treated like a lowly servant, and yeah, it just kind of follows her through all that, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Next I read, this is something totally different. Okay, this is called The Chronicles of the Nephilim. The Chronicles of the Nephilim by Brian Godawa. I read the first book in that series, and it is called Noah Prime Evil. It is about Noah from the Bible, and it takes kind of a fantasy, but also kind of like not fantasy, because if you've read the Bible, if you've read about Noah, you know that there were Nephilim and giants and just a lot of crazy going on, a really crazy time. And so it just kind of goes like, what if Noah, what was his tribe like? What was going on around him? What were the Nephilim doing? What if Noah and his people were constantly being hunted? What if Noah didn't want to build the ark? Ooh, it's so fun. And then there's like this archangel, guardian angel that comes, and he's like, the only way I can describe it, I just picture a ninja assassin angel. That's all I gotta say. That may sound really weird to some people, but that was so fun. I love him. I love the sarcasm. I gave this book a solid 3 stars though. Solid 3, okay? Like I enjoyed it. But the author has a tendency to just tell you what's going on, not show you what's going on, if that makes any sense. It's a very fast pace, like Another issue I have with this author's writing, I'm hoping it gets better because I definitely will be reading the rest of his books. In fact, I already have the next one downloaded on my Kindle and I can't wait to pick it up. Another issue I have is he doesn't sit with emotions long enough. So if somebody dies, it's like, oh no, they died. All right, guys, what's for dinner? And he doesn't mean it that way, but that's kind of how it comes across just a little bit to me. So 3 stars in a book that I felt like should have been maybe 4 stars at least. I'm hoping his next books get better because he's got like a whole series. There's Enoch and Abraham and Joshua and Gideon, and I saw he's also got books with like Jesus the Triumphant. And I don't know, if you're a believer and you love a good adventure and fantasy retellings and just kind of taking a little bit of creative liberty with Bible story retellings, then I think you are in for a very good time. It gets a bit dark. It's young adult, but it does get dark. So if there's someone with a teenager watching this and they're like, ooh, maybe my 12-year-old would like this, I feel like if it were me, I would wait till they were at least 14, just because there's a lot of dark topics covered a bit. But I mean, you know your kid, but that's just me. But it's mature a bit as well. Also, earlier this year, I read, this is a Christian book called God's Plan for Living, a simple roadmap to your ideal kingdom life. I love this book. If you're a believer, you should totally get it. This talks about basically what it means to be a co-laborer with God, to letting him lead and use your gifts and your talent to create the life that you were meant to live. Are you designed to be a lawyer? Are you designed to be an artist? Are you designed to be a politician or a doctor or a nurse or whatever? But like, what is your calling? And talking about like how you can co-create and co-labor with God daily. And I think it's fabulous. And I think everyone should read it. I think that's everything. No, it's not. It's not everything. Just kidding. Okay. I am currently reading, I just picked this one up last night, Cinder. This one is a Cinderella retelling, but listen to this. Okay, let me just read the synopsis for you. Even in the future, the story begins with once upon a time. Humans and androids crowd the Rosset streets of New Beijing. A deadly plague ravages the population. From space, a ruthless lunar people watch, waiting to make their move. No one knows that Earth's fate hinges on one girl. 16-year-old Cinder, a gifted mechanic, is a cyborg. She's a second-class citizen with a mysterious past and is reviled by her stepmother. But when her life becomes intertwined with the handsome Prince Kai's, she suddenly finds herself at the center of an intergalactic struggle and a forbidden attraction. Caught between duty and freedom, loyalty and betrayal, she must uncover secrets about her past in order to protect her world's future. Because there is something unusual about Cinder, something that others would kill for. I picked this up and I have not been able to stop. I had to force myself to stop. I am just about halfway through. It is available on Kindle Unlimited at this time, just so you know. I discovered that after I made the purchase, which is fine with me. I mean, look at this cover. Look at that artwork. It's great. It's so good. I love it. Look at this on the inside. Huh? Oh, nice, eh? My husband is an artist, so I tend to really appreciate when I see some really fun art. But yeah, so this is book 1 of the Lunar Chronicles. There are 4 books in total. I'm curious to see how those are going to go. I'm really loving it. And again, I cannot stop looking at this cover. I think it's fabulous. Is that it? Oh, I forgot I had all these books. I was going to show you the cover. The wood. Oh, we already talked about that one. We'll get better at this. Mistborn. Oh, here's something else. So I didn't technically read these. I actually listened to a, what do you call it? An audio, like theater, it wasn't, not an audio book, but a radio theater. That's what it's called. Radio theater, which is almost exactly like reading the book, just they add sound effects and they kind of trim it down a little bit in places where they need to, but other than that, it's exactly the books. Chronicles of Narnia. I did everything. I think I read all but the last 2 books, which are Silver Chair and Last Battle, I believe is what they're called. But yeah, look at this. I've had this copy for years. I think I got it at Barnes & Noble years ago. Isn't that pretty? Look at the gold thing. Here is one DNF that I have. I do have plans to finish reading it, but as of right now, it's just a DNF. I wasn't able to finish this one. Christopher Paolini's sci-fi To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Now this one, it is good. Here's something you should know about me. I love sci-fi. But I prefer to watch it on TV or in a movie. I'm learning that I don't tend to care for reading sci-fi. I guess it just depends. Because I've tried reading like some Star Wars books. I love Star Wars. I've tried reading a few Star Wars books. I just can't get into it. I don't know why. I like this one. Aliens. Space adventures. I don't know why I can't seem to stick with it. I will finish it. I will. Kira, here's the synopsis on the back. Kira Navarez dreamed of life on New Worlds. Now she's awakened a nightmare. During a routine survey mission on an uncolonized planet, Kira finds an alien relic. At first, she's delighted, but elation turns to terror when the ancient dust around her begins to move. As war erupts among the stars, Kira is launched into a galaxy-spanning odyssey of discovery and transformation. First contact isn't all what she imagined, and events push her to the very limits of what it means to be human. While Kira faces her own horrors, Earth and its colonies stand upon the brink of annihilation. Now Kira might be humanity's greatest and final hope. Space holds countless secrets. She just found the deadliest one. Anyway, I liked it. Sometimes it gave me kind of like Aliens vibes, you know? Like if you remember the movies Aliens, you know? I love those movies. I love those movies. But I was thinking like if I had to read those in a book, I don't think I'd read them. Even though I'll watch the movies again and again and again. But if they were a book, I would not read them. Yeah, that's just the way I am. But I will try to be finishing this. But for right now, it's a DNF. Okay, is that everything? This video is definitely long enough. I've been sitting here for over an hour. And I'm going to have to edit this way down. But yeah, that is, I believe, everything that I've read this year. Unless there's something that I read and I forgot to keep track of it. I think that's all of it. I am curious, now that it's the end of the year, what is your favorite book or books that you've read this year in 2023? And what book or books are you most looking forward to in 2024? Let me know down in the comments. The lighting has really changed. The sun has gone down, so that part of my lighting is gone. And it's time for me to go get some dinner and go hang out with my family. So Y'all take care, and until next time.